exactly is aging? Aging is when information is lost, mainly in the forms of genes, which degrade with time. Therefore, our cells no longer function as well as they used to, which leads to the loss of muscle, poor memory, loss of eyesight, less energy, and slower recovery after an injury or exercise, the common symptoms of aging. To answer the burning question, how do we age? To describe how the aging process works, we will start with DNA. DNA can be thought of as a shoelace. After having tied our shoes many times, the ends of our laces begin to fray and they get shorter and shorter. This is exactly what happens with every one of the 100 trillion cells in humans. Every cell contains chromosomes, which are made up of our DNA coiled up like a slinky. The ends of our chromosomes are composed of DNA and are called telomeres. Telomeres are like the plastic tips of our shoelaces. Without the plastic tips, our laces would fray. Likewise, without our telomeres, our chromosomes would shorten almost immediately after birth, leading to death. Unfortunately, every time our cells replicate, the telomeres, which are made up of DNA, are sacrificed, and our chromosomes become shorter and shorter. Since we lose these end pieces, we lose the DNA that they are made up of, which is the key factor in why we age. The shorter our chromosomes become, the more DNA we lose, and the older we get, until they are too short and our cell dies. Therefore, every cell has a biological clock, and they are all destined to die after a certain number of replications. To give you an idea of how much DNA we are losing, consider this statistic. At birth, we have about 10,000 bases of DNA, and as our cells divide again and again, we lose those bases. At 5,000 bases, we begin to die of old age. There must be a solution to this. Isn't there some magical formula that can help reverse the clock? Don't we know enough about the human genome to create some sort of fountain of youth? Actually, scientists have come close to discovering a very important element which can be described as a leading stride towards such fountain. It all starts with an enzyme called telomerase. Telomerase can limit the contractions of the chromosomes that enables them to maintain their length. Therefore, DNA is not lost. Telomerase are a reverse enzyme that adds end pieces of new DNA to critically short telomeres, and thereby prevents the loss of DNA, which slows down the aging process. Can we rewind the clock? Will this breakthrough work to our advantage or our disadvantage? Take it away, Sydney.
As mentioned, there may be a way to genetically slow down the aging process through the approach of gene therapy. For this specific case, gene therapy involves the modification of your genes to increase the presence of telomerase. When telomerase were expressed in mice, the results were astounding. This therapy actually suppressed aging by maintaining the length of the chromosomes found in a variety of mouse tissues. The mice exposed to the telomerase gene therapy displayed an improved and extended lifespan and achieved higher on aging indicators, such as neuromuscular coordination. It was also found that altering the genes earlier on in life had a greater response to treatment. Mice treated at the age of 1 lived longer by 24% on average, and for those treated at the age of 2, by 13%. This shows that the natural occurring shortening of telomeres can be stopped, delaying aging. Not only is lifespan affected due to shorter telomeres, but also age-related diseases and premature aging syndromes. Disorders associated with telomere length include diabetes, atherosclerosis, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive impairment. By increasing the amount of telomerase and preventing the shortening of your cell's telomeres, you are less likely to suffer from such illnesses, leading a longer and healthier life. Where's the catch? To begin with, testing such techniques have yet to be extended to specific cell populations or longer living species, so the approach to this therapy on humans is not yet fully realized. Another aspect to consider is that cancer cells also express telomerase, essentially making them immortal. Cancer is so deadly because it attacks one part of your body and continuously expands until it completely consumes its victim. During the treatment, it is important that when you hit the cells with telomerase, you don't hit potential cancer cells in the process. Therefore, there is uncertainty as to which cells should specifically be targeted for the gene therapy, and considerations must be made on what the effects of manipulating the natural process of cell division will have on the individual.
We were curious about what people thought of this new gene therapy procedure.
So after showing our introduction video to a selected group of individuals from various backgrounds, we were able to gain an insight on the thoughts and opinions of this developing subject.
I think about it somewhat, and it does concern me somewhat, but I wouldn't say that I spend too much time thinking about it. I think about it more from a health perspective than I do from an appearance or vanity perspective.
Everybody likes to enjoy time on earth, enjoy our families, enjoy our children, enjoy our families, so we don't want it to end. So yeah, it's quite concerning actually.
When I think about aging, I think about it in a good way. I think about growing up, maturing, but being concerned about it, I wouldn't say that I am.
Like the concern for aging only kind of like hits like, of course, when you get to like the 40s and 50s, you know, your back starts to give out and everything like that. So like at the moment, like no, not really.
I am already in my 20s and it feels like time has been flying by, and for that reason it's concerning me, but that's pretty much it.
4 on 10, 3 on 10. But sometimes when you see something special or you're doing something special and you never want it to end, that's when I think about it, in those moments.
And probably on a scale of 1 to 10, like a 4. But I don't, like I said, I don't think about it in a bad way. I think good things. I think psychologically, I'm gonna grow as a person. I'm gonna learn from my experiences, and I'm gonna get older and know what to do in life.
Maybe a 3 or 4. It doesn't really concern me at this point in my life.
Maybe like a 3 or 4. This is what is coming. This is what is part of life. We're all going to age. We're all going to get to a point where either we're going to be physically debilitated or mentally. I don't think about it a lot, but it is a recurring thought.
I'll say a 6.
Concerning, I wouldn't describe it as concerning. It's kind of something that I would expect. Everybody knows that with time you get weaker, your mind starts to go as you get older. It's not a surprise that something like that's going to happen.
It's like a natural process, so I'm not really that concerned, no.
That's just the way that humans are. That's the way we've always been. That's the way life is, so not really.
It is concerning when you give it thought. Most people don't think about it. They just think of aging as, you know, your appearance changes and wrinkles and that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want to expose myself to something like that, but I could understand why somebody would. I mean, if it's really something they wanted to do, then I don't see why not.
As much as it sounds like it's something positive and something that would improve one's health, at this point, at this stage, no, it sounds like very experimental. I'll wait for some time to go by before even giving it any thought. It's still theoretical, really. I would not want my children, even though it might be more beneficial to them, starting younger, I definitely would not suggest they do it.
I think once you start manipulating the human body at a cellular level, especially if it hasn't been yet tested on humans, there's a little bit of some apprehension there because not knowing what the end result may be. It concerns me. I'm not sure I'd jump into the game. I think one would have to be entirely sure of the benefits before jumping into something as life-changing as something like this.
Personally, I wouldn't want to put myself out there with such an experimental procedure that hasn't really been tested on humans yet. A child isn't old enough to be able to make that decision and say, I'm not satisfied with my life. It's really a personal thing that you need to be an adult to say, this procedure is for me, I want to live longer than my expected age.
I kind of find it's like not as natural, like you're kind of playing God almost, so no, I wouldn't do it.
I believe that accessibility needs to be universal. Ethically, I would have a very hard time thinking that something like this would only be available to the affluent.
That's actually not like a bad price for such a big procedure. Like if I would end up doing it, like yeah, 10,000 makes sense, yeah.
The diseases that are inherent in aging would be mitigated. There's a big benefit there. But the reality is that we all have to go through these cycles in our lives or our society will fall apart. It's not a question of funding, it's a question of ethics, and I don't think that I would be interested in that.
In this early stages, so I wouldn't really be able to put a price on it yet.
Was something that I really wanted to do, then why not? There's nothing really out there like this. Where would be the limit? Somewhere where it wouldn't put my family, it wouldn't put them in a bad place.
It would be wonderful to age very slowly and to have better quality of life as you reach your end of years. And it wouldn't affect society because it would only be a small population. But it's completely unrealistic. The scientists who came up with this, maybe they should be the ones that get this.
No, because it's not right to withhold something like this from the whole society. You can't say this is for us, it's exclusive.
Like no one has to know or anything like that. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, why not?
If it didn't work, people had side effects, there would be so many complications, there would be some people would get sued, that's all kinds of money thrown down the drain, and it seems like it would cause a lot of headaches.
You have limited resources on this earth, and if we don't age and we don't die off, then generations who are going to follow us will not have access to those resources. Canada has seen the age of retirement pushed to 67 from 65. And already that has affected our economy and it's affected our society. Unemployment will rise if people aren't going through the stages where they retire and leave the job available to the next generation. Our society will fall apart over time. I think it's detrimental.
Probably would be an advantage because it would prolong people's lives. People are going to live longer, people are going to be happier.
I don't think it's worth the risk. From an individual perspective, I don't think it's worth the risk. And then I think from a global perspective, there's so many drawbacks to this. It would be nice if they could focus on people being healthier longer, but not doing away with aging.
Probably not. Definitely have to do more testing.
I wouldn't want to live through that. It's a bad time, like while you have the cancer and then you die.
It's definitely like, it's what we do. We're very curious people, and I think it would be very good for research, but it could like help to break through some of the kind of research, so I think they should definitely keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, their money could be going to other places.
Yes, it should continue, because if you look at research, scientists sometimes are trying to discover one thing or improve on one thing, and it brings them to another discovery, which could be, even more helpful or more beneficial.
As time goes on, medical advancements happen and people can live longer. It's part of a natural evolution, but now it's a lot different with people being able to affect it. It's harmful with the natural way of things. It's an advancement.
Yes, I think it would be great if we could age and not have a loss of life from continuing to do the things that we do.